Is we're going to continue on with building the parameter block. And the parameter block, first we need to give it a parameter that we'll see in track view. We'll call it pupil, and we have to tell it what type of value that the parameter block is going to hold. In this case, it's going to be a float value. And then we need to tell it what UI items it is actually connected with, and it is going to be the spinner. If we evaluate this, we should get no errors back to the listener, and it should give us back an attribute definition that's correct. So we know that this now works and it's all been coded correctly. We now need to add this attribute definition to the Ogre's eye control, and cust_attributes.add is the command for that. Although MaxScript isn't case sensitive, I always capitalize and write my commands as though it is, just so that it all reads properly. We now need to list what object the parameter is going to go on, and in this case it's going to be the currently selected item, so $ dot modifiers, and it's going to be the first modifier. Now we could also do this by name as well. We could actually list the name of the modifier. So we can also do it like this. Now the problem with doing it this way with the attribute holder is currently if I evaluate that, it'll throw an error, and it's because there's a space in the name. Spaces and names are a big no-no. There's two ways you can deal with spaces and names, and that is with single quotes around the name, and it'll read it. So there's another way you can do it. Now one of the problems with this method here is if I change the name of this attribute holder, this will have to change as well. But we can do it this way, and then we want to list the actual definition. In this case, def is returning our definition because we already evaluated that. So I should be able to evaluate this now, have it evaluate to true in the listener, and it'll apply the attribute to the actual control. Now we might want to be able to take it so that it's right now the eyes are in that sort of mid spot. We might be able to want to take it up and down from there. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go back and edit the custom attribute. So now let's actually go back and update our definitions so that we have the correct range to deal with that we're looking for. And also let's go and add the spinner as well, the slider, sorry, that's going to be connected to the same attribute so that it's being driven by both. And what we can do first off is let's actually set a range to this. So if we say range, and it's a 3-point value, which is the starting value, so we'll say -100, comma, the highest, so that's the lowest value, highest value, comma, the start value, and we'll call that 0. Now the scale currently setting is actually 1, but it'd be very odd for this pupil spinner to start at some odd value. You kind of want to be able to reset it back to its sort of default position with a 0. So we're going to deal with the math later to take whatever our current value is of our X-form modifier, which will actually be a scale of 1, 1, 1 in X, Y, and Z, and we're going to tie that into a spinner that starts at a value of 0 and work it out from there. So what you need to be able to do to redefine this, as I've shown in previous ones, is first off you need to make sure you actually have the definition. Now in this case, because I haven't closed max, def still returns that definition. If it didn't, what you can simply do is go def equals cust_attributes.get def, and then list the definition and where it is. So in this case it is sitting on the attribute holder on the currently selected object, and this is the definition that we want, so dot ogre eyes. And if I return that, now I've definitely made sure that the variable def holds that definition. To update it, I'm just going to remove the def equals here, and on the next line above the brackets, though, the next line right below attributes is redefine : def. And now when I actually run this, and I don't want to run this line as well because I don't want to add the attribute again, I just want to simply run this chunk of code here. So I'll select it and go shift enter, and it will update the definition. So now it actually goes to -100 to 100. Let's add a slider.